Hello everyone. Before we jump into today's story, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to leave a comment telling me where you're watching from and what time it is right now, because that way, YouTube will keep showing you more stories just like this one. Alright, sit back, relax, turn down the lights if you dare. And now, let's begin. The engine was still running when we got there. Headlights cutting through the fog. Hazards blinking like dying eyes. But no one in the front seat. No one in the back. Not even footprints in the frost on the ground. I remember standing there in my patrol jacket, breath fogging the air, and thinking, this isn't right. We were responding to a welfare check, suspicious vehicle, they said. Caller didn't give a name. Just coordinates, which, yeah, already sketchy. But dispatch said the call came from inside the car, not about the car. From inside it. I still don't know how that's possible. Me and my partner Torres had been working night patrol for a little over a year. You get weird calls sometimes, paranoids, meth heads seeing shadow people, folks falling asleep on the side of the road. You get used to it. But this was different. There was a silence I can't explain. Not just quiet, like middle of nowhere quiet. I mean like the woods were holding their breath. No wind, no crickets. Just the tick of the hazard lights and the slow idle of the engine. Torres knocked on the window. No response. He opened the door. It wasn't locked. And inside, the heat was still on full blast. Phone on the passenger seat. Driver's license in the coup folder. No wallet, no purse. Keys in the ignition. I circled around, checking the woods with my flashlight. There was no blood. No signs of struggle. No skid marks. Just frost on the grass. And the weirdest thing was, there weren't even tracks leading up to the car. No tire impressions in the dirt. No prints from boots or shoes. Like it had just appeared. We ran the plates. Registered to a 27-year-old woman named Kelsey Vance. Local, no priors. Nothing pinged. We figured maybe she wandered off. Maybe she was drunk or high, got spooked, ran into the woods. But the door wasn't forced, the gear was in park, and the emergency brake was on. It felt intentional. Torres leaned in and turned off the engine. The second he did, I swear the silence got heavier. Like the sound of the motor was the only thing holding something back. He gave me a look. Sighed, let's just finish the report and call a tow. No body, no crime. But I felt something watching us. Like we were being studied. It wasn't paranoia. It was instinct. I don't know why I did it, but I opened the glove box. There was a small spiral notebook. Black cover. No label. I flipped it open and started skimming. Inside were pages and pages of handwritten notes. Almost like a journal. Only every entry was the same sentence, over and over, written hundreds of times. Do not turn off the engine. It only moves when the car stops. I showed it to Torres. He laughed at first, like it was some Blair Witch LARP, but I didn't laugh, because there were drops of blood on the last page. Still fresh, we called for backup. Tried to reach the registered owner's emergency contacts. Dispatch couldn't get a hold of anyone. Torres went back to the cruiser to file the report while I stayed near the car. I couldn't stop looking at it. Something about the way it was parked dead center on a stretch of forest road. No buildings nearby, no signs of life for miles. Just trees. So many goddamn trees. I heard a twig snap behind me. Spun around, nothing. The headlights were off now. But the hazards were still blinking. Slower than before. It was like the forest was getting closer. I know how that sounds. But I swear, every time I turned around, the trees seemed like they'd crept forward just a bit. Closing in. Torres came back looking pale. He said, "Dispatch just lost GPS signal on us." I pulled out my phone. No bars. Not even emergency SOS. His was the same. Our radio still worked. Kind of static. Sometimes a word would come through. On single quotes T. Leave engine. I asked if he was hearing that too. He nodded slowly. Didn't say anything. And then the radio cut out entirely. It was getting colder. Like, suddenly. I could see frost forming on the windows of the car again, even though it had only been off for a few minutes. I swear the shadows in the forest weren't moving with the wind, because there wasn't any wind. They were moving on their own. Like something was shifting between the trees. I told Torres we should leave. He didn't argue. We got in the cruiser, locked the doors, and started backing up the road. That's when I saw it in the rearview. Just for a second. A figure standing next to the abandoned car. Not walking up. Not crawling out. Just ... Standing there, like it had always been there. Watching us. I slammed on the brakes. When I turned around, nothing. Car was still empty. But when I blinked, I saw it again. Not with my eyes, but behind them. In that place where memories hide. Pale face. No mouth. No eyes. Just smooth skin and a kind of pull. Like gravity. But inward, like it wanted me to come back. Torres was shaking. He said something I'll never forget. He said, "We never saw tire tracks because the car didn't drive here." I said, "Then how the hell did it get here?" And he said, "It brought itself." I kept telling myself we were just spooked. That it was late, that the woods distort shadows, that our radios glitch all the time out here. But the farther we drove from that car, the worse the feeling got. Like something wasn't letting us leave. The fog thickened behind us, swallowing the road. And the cruiser. I don't know how to explain this. It felt heavy. Like we were dragging something with us. I kept checking the mirror. Not because I wanted to. Because I felt like I had to, every few seconds. I thought I saw a shape forming in the red glow of our brake. Lights. Tall. Thin. Leaning forward like it was. Trying to read my thoughts, but the second I turned, nothing. We got maybe a quarter mile before the cruiser suddenly lurched. Like someone slammed their body against the back bumper. Torres cursed. I gripped the wheel so hard my knuckles cramped. I whispered, "Did you see something?" He didn't answer. He was staring forward, eyes wide and unblinking, like he wasn't in his own head. Like he was watching something I couldn't see. I shook his shoulder. Hard. Nothing. Then his radio crackled. A voice low, warbled, almost like someone whispering through a fan came through. "Put it back." Torres inhaled sharply, snapped out of whatever trance he was in, and yelled at me to drive. Not calm, not controlled. The way someone yells when their body takes over out of pure terror. So I gunned it. The road twisted, narrow and uneven. The trees on both sides squeezed in close enough to scratch the paint. I didn't care. I just needed distance. But the cruiser slowed down on its own, floored the gas and the engine revved. But we weren't accelerating. It felt like something was holding the back of the car. Something strong. UNMOVING. My chest tightened. I could feel my heartbeat in my teeth. Seconds later, every light in the cruiser flickered. Dashboard, overheads, flashlight in the cup holder. All of it. The radio hissed again. Not words this time. Breathing. Slow. Wet. Too close. And then tap, tap, tap. On the back window, like someone knocking with a bone. I didn't want to turn. I didn't want to look. I knew if I saw anything, my brain would break. But Torres was staring right at it, mouth hanging open. So I forced myself. I looked, and I wish I hadn't, because through the fogged glass, pressed against the center of it, was the shape of a face. But not a real face. Just smooth skin with indentations, as if features were trying to push outward, like someone trapped behind a thin sheet. No eyes. No nose. No mouth. Just pressure, like it was trying to squeeze through. I slammed the cruiser into reverse out of instinct, forgetting that whatever held us wasn't something the tires could outrun. The whole car shuddered like we had hit a wall. Torres screamed. I've never heard him scream like that before or since. Then the headlights of the cruiser cut out. We were left in absolute blackness. Not moonlight, not starlight, not even the glow of the dashboard. Just dark, thick, solid, like we were underwater. My breaths came out sharp and fast. I felt the cold air tighten around us. Frost crawled up the inside of the windshield like veins. I could hear Torres muttering under his breath, No, not like this." His hands were shaking so badly, the flashlight he was holding clattered onto the floor. And from outside, sliding around the cruiser, came the sound of something dragging itself through the dirt. Slow, deliberate, getting closer to my door. I don't know where the instinct came from. Maybe panic, maybe desperation. But I remembered the journal in the abandoned car. Do not turn off the engine. It only moves when the car stops. Our cruiser had stopped. The engine was off. So I did the only thing I could think of. I twisted the key. Nothing. I tried again. Dead. Every attempt made a dull, clicking sound that echoed inside the car like it was mocking me. My throat went dry. Outside dash. That dragging sound paused right beside me, and then something tapped once on the driver's window, soft, almost polite. Torres whimpered. I tried the ignition. Again. Click, click. I didn't breathe, didn't blink. I waited for the window to break. I waited for a hand, if it even had hands, to pull me out into the dark. But instead, the face on the glass slid sideways. Not moved, not lifted, slid, like the skin itself smeared across the window. Then the tapping started again. On the passenger side, faster, more urgent, like there were more than one of them, like they were circling. Finally, the engine roared to life. Lights snapped on so bright, I flinched. Heat blasted through the vents. Whatever was outside, it didn't like it. I didn't see it fully. Just a long shadow whipping backward, melting into the tree line like smoke. But I didn't wait to see more. I slammed the car into drive and floored it. This time nothing held us. We burst out of the forest road like something puked us out. Just past the first-mile marker, our radios sprung back to life. Phones lit up with notifications. GPS reconnected. It was like crossing an invisible border. I didn't slow down until I saw the highway lights. Even then, my shaking foot barely eased off the gas. We drove straight to the station. Neither of us spoke. We didn't even look at each other. We just sat in the parking lot for a long time, staring at our own reflections in the windshield, trying to make sense of what happened. But some things you don't make sense of. You just try to live with them. 2 days later, the abandoned car was found again. Not by us. Another unit got the call. Same make, same model, same plates. Same woods. Same exact spot. Only difference was this time, they found the driver's door open and a footprint. Just one, small, female. Leading into the woods. Then nothing. No trail. No more prints. Like she took one step and vanished. They asked if we wanted to assist with the follow-up search. I said no. Torres said no. I don't think either of us will ever go back there. But here's the part I haven't told anyone. Not Torres. Not the department investigator. Not my wife. The morning after the incident, when I got home, I noticed frost on the rear window of my personal car. Just a thin layer. Even though it wasn't cold out, and on that frost, a shape pressed from the inside, a face. Featureless. Smooth. Like something had leaned close and wanted me to know it wasn't done with me. He was standing by the dumpster when I first saw him. Right under the yellow floodlight, arms at his sides, face turned toward me like he'd been waiting. But when I rounded the corner of the lot, he was gone. I'd been working night security at the Hillcrest Industrial Park for 3 months by then. Not the most exciting job, just walking loops, logging entries, calling the occasional tow for some teenager using the lot to hotbox their car. Mostly it was just me, caffeine, and my flashlight. But that night, something was off. Like, the air felt wrong. Thick, still. Even though it was mid-autumn, I remember sweat gathering under my collar. No breeze, no city sounds. Even the motion sensor lights felt dimmer than usual. I was just finishing my 2 a.m. sweep when I spotted him. Right where the loading dock ended and the dumpsters sat behind the east building. He was tall, wearing a hoodie, face shadowed, but he was standing completely still, like statue still. Not looking around, not moving, just staring directly at me. I called out, "Sir, this is private property. You can't be here after hours." He didn't respond. I stepped forward, instinct kicking in. "Hey, hello? You good?" Still nothing. It took me maybe 10 seconds to cross the lot, my boots echoing off the concrete. I didn't even take my eyes off him, but when I turned the corner, he was gone. No footsteps, no shuffle of movement, nothing. I swung my flashlight around, heart thudding harder than I'd like to admit. Behind the dumpster? Empty. The chain link fence at the end of the alley was still locked. Nowhere to go. No doors, no gaps, no cover. He'd vanished. I radioed it in. Not officially. Just to my supervisor, possible trespasser, east side. Couldn't make contact. He mumbled something back about checking the cameras and told me to stay alert. So I went into the security booth and pulled up the feed. 4 cameras covered the loading dock and alley. They should have caught him walking in or leaving. But there was nothing, literally nothing. The feed glitched for 11 seconds. Just static and a weird flicker right before I saw him. Then it jumped back to normal, showing an empty alley. I leaned in, squinting at the monitor, and that's when I saw it. Just as the footage unglitched, a single frame showed him standing right next to the camera. Like right next to it. Too close for it to focus. All I could make out was the lower half of his face. Lips slightly open. Something smeared on his chin. I froze. It wasn't ketchup or dirt. It looked like blood. I sat back in the chair, heart hammering. Tried to shake it off. Maybe it was old footage. Maybe the system glitched and looped in a previous trespasser. Maybe my mind was filling in the blanks with what it wanted to see. But even as I tried to rationalize it, my gut was screaming, something's wrong here. About an hour later, I got a motion alert from the east building again. Same spot. I switched to the live feed. There he was, standing in the same place. Same posture. Same stillness. I bolted from the booth. This time I didn't call out. I just walked toward him, fast. Hand on my belt flashlight, pulse in my throat. As I got closer, I realized he wasn't standing normally. He was slumped, like his knees were locked, but the rest of him was slowly folding forward, like a marionette with loose strings. His head tilted to one side, and his arms, they were hanging way too low, like they'd been dislocated. I stopped 5 feet away. My flashlight caught his face this time, and I'll never forget what I saw. His eyes were cloudy. Not bloodshot cloudy, like wax paper. His skin was pale gray, and his lips were blue, like he'd been underwater. But the worst part? He smiled at me. Not wide. Just a tiny pull at the corners of his mouth. More like a twitch than a smile. Like his muscles remembered how to do it, but forgot why. I backed up instinctively, nearly tripping over my own boots. "Sir, are you all right?" Still nothing. And then, just as I reached for my radio, he collapsed, dropped straight down like a puppet with its strings cut. Hit the concrete with a disgusting wet crack. I rushed forward. Adrenaline took over. I knelt beside him, shined my light, and immediately recoiled. His skin was ice cold. I don't mean cool. I mean fridge cold. Like touching frozen chicken. I checked his pulse. Nothing. No breath. No heartbeat. No pupil response. But his eyes were still open. And that tiny twitch of a smile was still there. I called it in for real this time. Possible fatality. East lot, unresponsive male. Send paramedics. Then I just sat there watching him. Trying to make sense of what I'd seen. Trying to unsee his face. The paramedics arrived 10 minutes later. They took one look at him and exchanged that quiet, oh shit glance they think we don't notice. One of them crouched beside me and asked, "How long ago did you find him?" "Just now," I said. He was upright when I saw him. Then he dropped. He blinked at me. "You sure about that?" "Yeah, why?" He looked at his partner, then at me and said, "Because this guy's been dead for at least 12 hours. I remember laughing when the paramedic said it. Not because it was funny, God, no. It was one of those sounds your body forces out when your brain refuses to process what it's hearing. 12 hours? I asked. He was walking, standing, staring straight at me. The paramedic didn't argue. He just stared at the man's body like he was afraid it might move again. They loaded him into the ambulance. Zipped the black bag. Did everything you'd expect, but I couldn't shake the feeling. Because even inside that zipped bag, I could still picture the expression he had. That tiny twitch of a smile. Like he knew something I didn't. My supervisor arrived next. Older guy. Seen everything. He looked irritated until he saw my face. Then he softened. "What happened?" He asked quietly. I told him everything. The first sighting. The weird camera glitch. How the guy vanished behind the dumpster. How he collapsed. I didn't mention the part where he smiled. I don't know why. Maybe I thought it would make me sound insane. My supervisor just sighed. Been getting complaints about squatters. Drug overdoses. Maybe he wandered in earlier and your mind filled in the rest. I wanted to argue. Then he said, "I checked the cameras. There's no footage of you approaching him the second time. No footage of him falling. You walk off screen, then the next second you're kneeling beside the body." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean no footage?" I was right in front of the camera. He shook his head. The timestamp jumps. About 13 seconds. He looked me dead in the eye. "You sure you didn't black out?" I didn't black out. I know what I saw. My mind was too sharp, too focused, too scared, but I didn't argue. I just nodded. He told me to take a break, hydrate, finish my shift inside the booth. And honestly, I was grateful. The idea of walking that lot again made my chest tighten. I went to the booth and closed the door. Locked it. It must have been about an hour later when I noticed movement on the monitors again. Same camera. East Alley. I leaned forward so fast I smacked my knee on the desk. There was someone standing there. Same height. Same posture. At first my brain said, it's him. Because how could it not be? But this time, the figure wasn't just standing. It was facing the wall. Head tilted as if it were listening to something inches from its ear. Hands pressed flat against the bricks. Then, slowly, so slowly, it turned its head toward the camera, and the live feed glitched. Flickered white. Cut to static. I jumped out of my seat so hard the chair fell over. I checked the monitor again. Nothing. Static. It wouldn't reconnect. I told myself it was a raccoon. A trespasser. A shadow. Anything. But deep down, I knew that tilt of the head. I'd seen it before. Hours earlier. Right before he fell. I called dispatch again. Tried to sound normal. Trespasser on East Lot again. Cameras glitching. Requesting another unit. They said someone would be there in 20 minutes. 20 minutes felt like forever. I stepped outside the booth. The air felt colder than before, sharp, thin, like breathing inside a freezer. My breath fogged instantly. Even though the temperature wasn't that low, the entire industrial park felt hollow. Buildings like empty shells, windless, soundless. My boots echoed as I walked toward the alley, each step heavier than the last. Like something didn't want me going there. As I got close, I noticed something on the ground. Footprints. Bare, dirty, pressed deep into the dust, leading straight toward the wall, exactly where I'd seen the figure standing on camera. And then they stopped, not turned, not walked away, just ended. As if whoever made them walk straight into the wall. I swallowed hard. Every instinct screamed at me to run. But my job and some messed up curiosity pushed me forward. I rounded the corner. Empty. No figure. No movement. Just the dumpster. The fence. The same spot where he had stood the first time. I exhaled shakily. Then something made me turn. I didn't hear anything. Didn't feel anything. I just knew. I pointed my flashlight at the wall. Something was smeared there. Dark, flaky, uneven, dried blood, and above it, drag marks, like fingertips clawing downward. My chest tightened. My vision pulsed around the edges. Then my radio crackled. Not dispatch. Not my supervisor. A voice I didn't recognize, low, broken, like each word was forced through a throat not meant to speak. You weren't supposed to see me. I froze. The radio hissed again, louder this time. You saw me standing. My knees buckled. I pressed myself against the opposite wall, flashlight shaking in my hand. The voice took on a wet, dragging sound, like air moving through a ruined chest. I wasn't standing. I was trying to get up. My stomach twisted, trying to get up. But he had been upright when I saw him, twice, unless those weren't him standing at all. Unless what I saw was something wearing his shape, trying to move his body, trying to learn it, trying to be him. I stumbled backwards, gasping. The radio hissed one more time, a final whisper, still learning. Then silence. I didn't wait for backup. I ran past the booths, past the loading docks, into the parking lot, keys shaking in my hands as I fumbled into my car. I didn't look back. I didn't sleep that night. Didn't sleep the next night either. The coroner's report came in 2 days later. Cause of death, heart failure. Estimated time of death, 11:15 a.m. I saw him around 2 a.m. nearly 15 hours later. I told myself the radio had picked up interference. Someone messing around. Some prank I got too in my head about, but the truth wouldn't leave me alone. Because later that week, I got a call from my supervisor. He sounded shaken. Footage came back from the coroner's lot. He said quietly, "You should come see this." I didn't want to go, but I did. In the footage, the man's body was lying on the metal table, motionless, still zipped in the bag, half open. As they prepared the exam, nurses left the room. Camera kept rolling. 5 minutes. 10 minutes. Nothing. But at minute 11 his hand twitched. Not a spasm. Not a reflex, a twitch. Like someone was pulling at the fingers from inside. Then the skin of his wrist shifted. Like something underneath was pushing outward. I felt my stomach drop. He lifted his arm. Slow, jerk-like, unnatural. Then the corner of his mouth twitched upward. That same tiny, awful smile. The supervisor paused the footage, rubbing his face with both hands. "What the hell do you think that is?" he whispered. I didn't answer, because I knew it wasn't him moving. It was that thing trying to wear him, trying to figure him out, trying to use him like a suit, and it wasn't done. I quit my job the next day. Avoided that industrial park completely. But this morning, when I walked outside for work, I found footprints on my driveway. Bare, dirty, leading right up to my front door. And drawn on the door, in something dark and flaky, was a short, Jagged smear. A drag mark. Finger dash length. Just one. Like a reminder. Like a promise. It's still learning. The voice came through the radio just after 3 a.m. Not a full sentence, just a single word. Help. But the weird part? It didn't come through our active dispatch channel. It came through Channel 9. And no one uses Channel 9. I've been a patrol officer in this small, Midwest town for 6 years. You get used to weird stuff, late night calls from lonely drunks, local teens chasing ghosts at the old slaughterhouse, the occasional meth lab in a trailer with "God bless" spray painted across the side. But what happened out at the old Sinclair meat plant? I still don't know how to explain it. And believe me, I've tried. That night started normal, rainy, cold, quiet. My partner, Jules, was finishing paperwork in the passenger seat while I drove aimlessly through the industrial district. Just staying visible, we were both half asleep, sipping gas station coffee when the radio crackled loud, sharp. Like someone had sat on a mic. Then came the word, help. Faint, warbled, buried in static. Jules sat up straight. You hear that? I nodded. Yeah. Channel 9? She frowned. That's not dispatch. We waited. Nothing but white noise. I flipped over to the channel and keyed the mic. This is Unit 312. Identify yourself, over. Silence. Then, just barely the sound of crying. Like someone trying not to be heard, muffled. Close. Jesus, Jules whispered. Is someone on an open mic? I switched back to main and called it in. Dispatch sounded confused. Nobody's transmitting on 9. That frequency's not even monitored anymore. I didn't like that answer. Neither did Jules, because the last time Channel 9 was used was years ago when a rookie accidentally locked himself inside a walk-in freezer at the Sinclair plant. Abandoned since 2012, he radioed for help for 20 minutes before anyone heard him. When they finally got him out, he was shaking like a leaf. Said he didn't remember anything after the first few minutes inside. Said the radio kept replying with static and voices he couldn't understand. He quit the force the next day. I looked at Jules. You thinking what I'm thinking? She nodded. Let's check it out. The Sinclair meat plant sits like a dead thing at the edge of town. 3 stories of rusted metal, busted out windows, and a smell that never quite left, like rot soaked into concrete. They shut it down after a chemical leak killed 2 workers in the 90s. No one ever cleaned it out. We parked by the broken front gate. The rain had stopped, but everything was soaked. The air smelled like mold and cold iron. As we stepped out of the cruiser, the radio on Jules' shoulder crackled again. This time it was clearer. Don't leave me here. She stopped dead. Eyes wide. That was a kid's voice. It was. And it wasn't just scared, it was pleading. We stepped inside through a side door that had been kicked open long ago. The place was dark, even with our flashlights. The beam cut through layers of dust in the air. Rust dripped from overhead pipes like old blood. There was no power. No lights, no sounds except our boots echoing on the tile. But our radios? They stayed alive. Faint static. Like the line was open on someone else's end. Unit 312 entering Sinclair plant for welfare check. I said aloud. Even though we both knew dispatch wouldn't hear it from inside. It was more for us than anyone else. We cleared the first floor. Processing rooms. Break areas, locker hallways. Empty. But as we reached the stairwell to the basement loading dock, Jules stopped. Do you hear that? I listened. At first nothing. Then, thump. Thump. Slow. Rhythmic. Like someone knocking. Not on a door but on metal. We followed the sound. Down the stairs. Flashlights dancing across rusted machinery and old carts. Then we saw it. One of the walk-in freezers at the far end of the dock had its handle jiggling back and forth, like someone was trying to push it open from inside. Hello? I called out. Police. Are you hurt? The handle stopped. For a moment, nothing. Then a tiny voice from inside whispered, "They won't let me out." Jules stepped forward. Hand on her weapon. I went to the door and grabbed the handle. "Stand back," I said. "I'm opening it." The second the latch clicked, our radios screamed. High-pitched static, layered with overlapping voices, dozens of them, babbling, moaning, crying. I yanked the door open, empty. Just a freezing black chamber. Ice still clinging to the corners. No footprints. No heat signature. But the temperature? It dropped 10 degrees in seconds. My breath fogged the air. And in the back corner, barely lit by my flashlight fingerprints, dozens of them, pressed into the frost from inside. Some small, some large, some dragging downward, like claw marks. Jules stepped back. "This isn't right," she said, voice shaking. "This is seriously not right." Then her radio crackled again. Just one word. Her name. Soft, spoken like a secret. Jules. She stared at me. I didn't key my mic. "I know." We didn't speak for a few seconds. Just stood there in the freezer doorway, the cold pressing against our skin like wet cloth, our radios buzzing faintly like a dying hive. "Let's go," Jules said finally. Her voice wasn't scared, it was controlled, professional, but her eyes told the truth. I slammed the freezer shut and turned the latch. But the second it clicked into place, our radios both lit up at once. Not a voice. Not crying, laughter, childlike, soft, distant. But it didn't feel innocent. It felt mocking. Jules ripped her radio off her vest and clicked it off. "I'm done with that." I kept mine on. I don't know why, curiosity, or maybe some stupid sense of duty. We'd come this far, something or someone was calling for help. We headed back upstairs. Tried the second floor, offices, supervisor rooms. Old inspection areas. All empty. But halfway down the hall, we found a door marked radio control, maintenance access only. I looked at Jules. She looked at me. She didn't want to go in. Neither did I, but it was the only place left. Pushed the door open slowly. It creaked like something groaning in its sleep. Inside, the room was lined with rusted radio equipment, long dead consoles, and an old broadcast panel covered in dust. One light bulb hung from the ceiling, swinging gently, even though there was no breeze. The weird part? The radios were on, faintly humming, flickering red LEDs. Impossible. There was no power in the building. We checked the meters outside before coming in. But this gear was running, and in the center of the room, a single mic. Plugged in, still warm, like someone had just stepped away. I reached for it, but Jules grabbed my wrist. "Do you hear that?" I stopped. Yes. Under the buzz of the electronics, under the hum of the room. A voice. Low, repeating, saying the same words over and over. Double quotes. Still down here. Still down here. Still down here. But it wasn't coming from a speaker. It was coming from inside the room. The wall behind the console was false. I tapped it. Hollow. I stepped around the console and found a narrow hatch, half covered by a fallen shelving unit. We cleared it off, pried it open, and there it was, a vertical crawl shaft. Leading down, pitch black. The voice was louder now, echoing up the shaft. A boy's voice, crying, "Still down here. Please, please don't close the door again." We both stared into it. And that's when I realized something was wrong, because Jules had turned off her radio. And I'd never keyed mine, but the boy's voice was coming through both of our earpieces now. Clear, echoing, desperate. "Please, I'm so cold." "Please," Jules pulled away. "No, I'm not going down there. We call it in. Let them send a search team." She was right. She was totally right, but I kept staring at that shaft. And I swear, I felt something staring back, not begging, not asking for help. Waiting. I should have left it alone. I should have walked out and never looked back. But I took one step toward the shaft. And the voice stopped, just like that. Total silence. Then something new came through the radio, not crying. Breathing. Right up against the mic. Wet. Close. Then a whisper. I know your name too. I turned and looked at Jules. Her face was pale. We're leaving, she said. Now, we made it halfway to the exit before every light in the building snapped on at once. White hot, buzzing like a hive about to burst. Overhead speakers crackled to life. Not with a voice, with recordings, clips from old calls, old patrols, ones we had made. I heard myself say, Unit 312, requesting backup at mile marker 5. Then Jules' voice. Subject is unresponsive. Starting CPR. Then, help, don't leave me. They won't let me out. Layered, stacked, dozens of them. All at once, like the building had been listening, recording. We sprinted the rest of the way out. Didn't stop until we were back in the cruiser, doors locked, radios off. I started the engine. Only then did I notice the screen on our in-car computer had gone black, except for 2 words typed across the middle. Channel 9 stay tuned. We filed the report. Of course we did. We told dispatch we'd heard a trespasser over the unused channel, checked the site, found nothing. No one asked questions. And the weirdest part? The next day, when we drove past the Sinclair plant, it was gone, not demolished. Not fenced off. Just gone, like it had never existed. There was just open gravel. Like something had removed the building cleanly from the earth and smoothed the dirt after. I checked old maps. I checked satellite images. Nothing. I don't use Channel 9 anymore. None of us do. We had it wiped from the system. But sometimes on certain nights, when the air gets heavy and the town goes quiet, I swear I still hear it. My radio will buzz. Even turned off. And through the faintest static, something whispers, I'm still down here. Don't turn off the channel, you let me out. And last night, when I got home from patrol, I found a small plastic police radio sitting on my porch. Kid's toy. Cracked and scuffed. When I picked it up, it hissed to life. Channel 9, it whispered. Stay tuned. The car should have gone off the cliff. There was no road there. Just open air. But I saw it with my own eyes. The sedan drove straight past the barricade and vanished into the fog. Without falling. I've been with highway patrol for almost a decade. You get numb to things after a while. Drunk drivers, highway pileups, wildlife collisions. But every now and then, you see something that doesn't fit in any report. That night on Highway 17 was one of those things. And I still don't know if I imagined it, or if I got too close to something I was never supposed to. It was just after 2 a.m. I was posted at the south end of the Highway 17 closure. A rock slide had buried a stretch of it 3 days earlier. No through traffic allowed. Barriers, signage, flashing lights. Easy enough assignment, except the fog was unreal that night. Heavy, low, the kind that clings to your windshield and soaks your uniform. Visibility was down to maybe 20 feet max. Everything beyond that looked like it was swallowed by smoke. I was sitting in my cruiser, engine idling, flipping through reports when I saw headlights coming from the north. I grabbed the mic. Dispatch, I've got a vehicle approaching from the closed side of 17. Can you confirm if a work crew was cleared through? Static. I tried again. Dispatch, Unit 219. Possible vehicle breach. Over. Nothing. I squinted into the fog. The headlights were getting closer. Steady. No weaving. Whoever was driving wasn't panicking. They were just cruising. I turned on the spotlight and aimed it toward the road. Waved my arm out the window. No change. The car didn't slow. Didn't signal. Just kept coming. It was a silver Toyota Camry. Early 2000s. Plates unreadable in the fog. I threw the cruiser in park, stepped out, hand on my sidearm. I shouted over the engine noise, "Hey! Road's closed. Stop your vehicle." Still nothing. So I stood directly in the lane, holding my hand out like a crossing guard. Stupid, I know, but something in me wanted to be seen. To make eye contact. To confirm this was real. The Camry rolled to a stop maybe 10 feet from me, idling, headlights in my face. Windshield tinted dark, too dark. I walked up slowly. No movement inside. No sound. I tapped the driver's side window with my knuckle, roll it down. Nothing. I leaned closer. No driver. No one in the passenger seat. Backseat empty. The car was running. With no one inside, I backed up fast. Pulled my flashlight and circled the car. Doors locked. No plates. Interior looked clean. Too clean, like it had never been used. Even the floor mats were spotless. No dust, no receipts. No signs of life. I tried the handle. Unlocked. I opened the driver's door and reached in to shut off the ignition. The second I touched the steering wheel, the radio turned on. Not music. Not a voice, just static. Low and sharp. Almost insect-like. Then a whisper, "Keep driving." I pulled my hand back like it was on fire. Backed away from the car. Stared at it, waiting for something, anything to move. Then, without warning, the Camry reversed. Smooth. Silent. Turned perfectly, avoiding my cruiser. It pulled a clean U-turn, tires whispering on wet asphalt, and drove slowly back the way it came. Into the fog. I stood there in the beam of my spotlight, frozen. The taillights faded into gray. And were gone. 10 minutes later, my radio buzzed back to life. 219, this is dispatch. We're showing you out of position. You good? I grabbed the mic with shaking fingers. Dispatch, did you send anyone through 17 tonight? Any workers? Any unmarked vehicles? Negative. Roads still sealed on the north side. No movement logged. Why? I stared into the fog. No reason, I said. Might have been a false alarm. That should have been the end of it. Just a weird ghost car story to file under unsolved and forget. But 3 nights later, another unit called in a traffic stop on a vehicle that matched my description. Silver Camry. No plates. No driver. Only this time. The officer never checked back in. Part 2, the officer's name was Brandon Keller. You don't forget the names of the ones who go missing. He was younger than me. New to nights. Steady, smart, didn't scare easy. He called it in at 2:18 a.m. same road. Same description. Unmarked silver Camry, no plates, no driver visible. Pulled over shoulder just before mile marker 12. That was the last anyone ever heard from him. His mic stayed keyed for 6 full minutes. But there was no voice, only static. Pulsing, layered static, like something heavy breathing through wires. The backup unit found his cruiser lights still flashing, engine running. Driver's side door open. No sign of Keller. Except for his radio, still buzzing on the front seat. And in the ditch next to the road, tire tracks, Camry tracks. Leading into the trees, but never coming back out. I wasn't supposed to be part of the follow-up. But when I heard the call come through the next night, a trespasser spotted near the same closure point. I volunteered. It wasn't protocol, but I needed to know if what I saw was real, or if Keller had seen it too. I got to the barricade just after 1:45 a.m. Same thick fog. Same eerie silence that didn't feel natural. No bugs, no animals, no wind. Just the feeling of being alone in the world. Or worse, not alone, but observed. I parked the cruiser perpendicular to the lane, blocking both sides. Got out. Lights on. Hand on my flashlight. I stood there for a long time, watching the mist swirl over the road. Then, at 2:03 a.m., my radio clicked. Not a call. Not dispatch. Just static. I didn't even key it. It opened by itself. And through the noise, I heard it again. Keep driving. Only this time, it wasn't a whisper. It sounded like Keller. I shouted into the mic. Keller, is that you? Where are you? No answer, but up ahead, maybe 100 yards out, I saw headlights. Same car. Same slow roll through the fog. The Camry, coming straight toward the barrier. No hesitation. I stepped into the lane, raised my flashlight. Stop. This is law enforcement. It didn't stop. It drove through the barrier like it wasn't there. Not crashed through. Drove through it. The plastic sawhorses and reflectors didn't even budge. They just flickered. Like a glitch in a video game. The car stopped 20 feet from me. Idling. No. Driver. Fog curling around it like smoke from a fire. I stepped closer. I don't know why. Instinct? Stupidity? Guilt? As I reached for the door, the passenger window rolled down on its own. The radio inside came on. Keller's voice again. It's not a car. I froze. Then static. Then another voice. A third voice. One I didn't recognize. Lower. Rung. You're already in the lane. Suddenly, the fog behind me thickened. I turned. The barricades were gone. So was my cruiser. So was everything. Just road stretching into endless white on both sides. The kind of silence that crushes your chest, where the only sound left is your pulse screaming in your ears. When I turned back toward the Camry, it was gone. Nothing left, except a set of wet footprints on the asphalt, leading from where the car had been, straight toward me. They stopped about 5 feet away, and I swear, I felt breath on the side of my neck. Ran, I don't know how far. The road didn't make sense. It curved, but never ended. There were no trees, no mile markers, just fog, road, and the feeling that I wasn't running away from something, but deeper into it. Eventually I stopped, bent over, gasping, nearly puking. When I looked up, my cruiser was there, parked, lights off. As if it had always been waiting. I got in and drove without looking back. Didn't stop until I hit the gas station 2 towns over. Didn't report it. Didn't tell anyone the full story. They think Keller disappeared. Foul play. Walked off into the woods. Or worse. But I know the truth. He never left that road. And now, every so often, when I'm driving alone at night, on any road, my radio will click on. No ID, no transmission. Just static. And a whisper. Stay in the lane. Keep driving. She looked right at the camera. That's what still messes with me the most. I was watching the security feed in real time, just another boring graveyard shift, and this barefoot little girl walked down the hallway of the elementary school like she belonged there. And when she passed the camera, she looked up, dead center. Eye contact, and she mouthed, "Help me. Let me back up. I'm a night security contractor. Rotating gigs. Sometimes it's mall parking lots, sometimes it's county buildings, sometimes schools. That week, I was posted at Pine Hill Elementary. Small school, suburban, nothing fancy. It had been shut down for summer deep cleaning, but the real reason was a H. failure and a mold issue. No staff, no janitors. Just me and a bunch of old classrooms waiting to be gutted and resealed. I was told it was just in case, watch for break-ins. Kids sneaking into graffiti, that kind of thing. But even on my first night, something felt off. The hallways were too quiet. The lights buzzed in a way that made my jaw tense. Every door echoed when it closed, like the sound had nowhere else to go. It was 2:07 a.m. when I saw her. I was watching the hallway cam on monitor 3, motion alert pinch. I figured a rat or something triggered it. It happens. But then I saw the movement. A figure. Tiny, walking slowly down the main hallway. from the admin wing toward the cafeteria. At first, I thought, no way. It was a kid, maybe 6 or 7. Long dark hair, pajama pants, bare feet, arms stiff at her sides. No adult with her. No sound, just walking. I leaned in closer, clicked the mic to activate the speaker system. Hey, you're not supposed to be here. Sit down where you are. I'm on my way. She didn't react, just kept walking. That's when she passed beneath the first camera. Didn't glance up, didn't pause, but when she reached the second camera, the one right outside the art room, she stopped, right in the center of the hallway. Head down. And then she tilted her face upward and stared directly into the lens. I swear on my life, she mouthed 2 words, "Help me." I went cold, not scared. Exactly, more like something behind my ribs dropped out. I grabbed my flashlight and keys and bolted out of the security booth. As I moved through the school, every footstep echoed too loudly. The tile was freezing under my boots. The lights overhead hummed like they were thinking about going out. I reached the hallway in less than 30 seconds. Empty. No little girl. No sign of anyone. I walked the full length of it, checked the cafeteria doors, admin wing, bathrooms. All locked. I radioed to the front office to test the PA again. It was dead. No power to the speakers. That didn't make sense. The speaker had worked when I talked through it a minute. EARLIER. I returned to the security room and rewound the camera feed. This is where things got worse. The footage didn't show her. The movement was there. Motion sensors triggered, timestamp active. But the video was empty. No girl, just hallway. Lights flickering once or twice. Nothing unusual. I leaned in, my heart hammering. I'd seen her. I knew I had. I checked the mic history. Confirmed I'd broadcasted through the PA at that exact time. Still, no sign of her in the feed. I sat there for a long time staring at the screen. Then, the hallway light on monitor 3 flickered again. No motion alert this time, just flicker. I tapped the cam to switch to live view. There she was, standing still, facing the camera. Closer now. Same pajamas, same bare feet. Only now her arms were hanging even lower, like they were longer than before, like something inside her had started to unfold. This time, I didn't go out. I just watched. Her face tilted slightly. She mouthed something again, but it wasn't "help me" this time. It was longer. I couldn't read her lips clearly, but I caught the last word. Trap. Then the lights in the hall behind her went out, one by one. Boom, boom, until she was in total darkness. I reached for the radio, and every monitor in the booth cut to static. Not black, not off. Static. Every screen. And in the middle of that crackling mess, a single sentence popped across the main console. You saw her. Now she sees you. My body locked. Like every joint refused to move. I stood there, frozen. Breath tight in my throat. Then the monitor closest to me buzzed and came back on. But instead of showing a hallway, it showed the inside of the security booth. A live feed from inside the room I was standing in. Only there was no camera in that corner. I would have known. I should have known. And in the bottom corner of that screen, just barely visible, was a shape. Small. Standing behind me. I didn't turn around. I couldn't. I just stood there, eyes locked on the monitor showing me, from an angle that shouldn't exist. And behind me, that small shape, motionless, child-sized, but not childlike. The air in the booth felt wrong. Too still. Like whatever was behind me wasn't breathing. Like it didn't need to. I tried to lift my radio. My hand barely moved. My skin felt heavy, like something unseen was pulling it down. Then on the monitor, the shape behind me took one step forward. Closer. That broke me. I spun around. Flashlight raised. Nothing. The booth was empty. The only sound was the low hum of static still crackling through the radios and screens. I backed into the corner, trying to breathe, flashlight shaking in my hand. Every screen in the booth still showed static. Except one. Monitor 6. It switched to hallway cam again, and there she was. Closer. Standing right outside the security booth door. Just behind the frosted glass window. I could see her silhouette. Small. Still. Too still. I moved toward the door, half expecting her to knock or say something. But she didn't. She just stood there. Head tilted up, watching. I felt something move in my throat. Fear so thick I could barely swallow it. Then 3 slow knocks. Not loud. Not sharp. Just deliberate. Like a warning. I whispered, "What do you want?" Silence. Then she moved. Not away. Not down the hall. She vanished. One frame she was there. The next. Gone. No footsteps. No sound. I opened the booth door slowly and stepped out into the hallway. Sweeping my flashlight. Still nothing. But I felt it. The cold. Like walking into a meat locker. My breath fogged instantly. And the silence was so total. I swear I could hear my own heartbeat. Loud. Wrong. Then I noticed something. Down the hallway. The door to room 308, the art room, was wide open. It had been locked all week. I moved toward it. Every instinct begged me not to. But something else pulled me forward. I reached the door, pushed it wider. The room was pitch black. My flashlight cut across old shelves, drying racks, and ESELS. Dust hung in the air like it was underwater. And on the far wall, children's drawings, hundreds of them, but they weren't taped. They were scratched into the wall, like someone had taken a nail or a knife and carved them. All of them were the same, a little girl, standing alone in a hallway, or staring at a camera, or behind a man who looked like. One drawing was fresh, still wet, drawn in something dark, not ink, not paint. I backed out of the room, heart pounding, and then, behind me, a voice, quiet, right against my ear. They locked me in. I turned, flashlight whipping around. She was there, right in front of me. Pale skin, eyes too wide, lips moving silently now, like a scratched tape on loop. Then she whispered, "Now it's your turn." The hallway lights exploded. Glass shattered above me. Everything went dark. I stumbled back, covering my face, cutting my hand on something. I ran down the hallway, past the classrooms, slipping on tile. Every door I passed slammed shut behind me, even ones that were already locked. I didn't stop until I hit the front entrance. Slapped the emergency door, latch locked. Permanently sealed. Like the alarm system never existed. I turned at the end of the hallway. She was there again. Walking. Slow, deliberate, bare feet silent on tile. Every light above her flickered as she passed beneath it. I bolted for the security booth, locked the door behind me, sat on the floor, bleeding, shaking, staring at the monitors, and that's when they all came back online. Every screen, every hallway. And they were all showing the same thing. Call on me. Lev. Feed. Dozens of angles that shouldn't exist. Cameras that weren't real. Inside closets. Above ceiling panels. Inside the booth. She was gone. But I wasn't alone, because behind me, on every monitor, a dark figure was leaning in, like someone watching over my shoulder. Its arms were too long. Skin like shadows. No face, and it was getting closer with each passing second. I don't remember blacking out. I just remember waking up in the back of an ambulance as the sun was rising. They said I called 911. I didn't. They found me alone in the booth. Monitors fried. Power totally dead. No signs of break. No little girl. No blood. Not even my own. Just one thing. On the wall of the art room, scratched deep into the plaster. He saw her. Now she sees you. They think I had a psychotic break, stress, isolation, maybe mold exposure. They offered me time off. I quit instead, but a week later, I got a call from a buddy still on the team. He took over the Pine Hill shift after me, told me he was watching the hallway cams on his second night, and around 2 a.m., he saw her. She looked into the camera, lifted her hand, and traced a circle in the air. Then mouthed, "Another one." She's still in there, trapped in whatever's left of that place. And now, every night around 2:07 a.m., I get a notification on my phone. Even though I deleted the security app. It says, "Motion detected. Room 308." And when I open it, the screen flickers once, just enough time to see her face, looking right at me. The elevator stopped on the 3rd floor. Only problem? The hospital doesn't have a 3rd floor. I've worked security at St. Vincent's Medical Center for 7 years. It's a mid-sized urban hospital, 5 stories if you count the basement, but the main building only goes up to 2. ER on the 1st, admin and psych on the 2nd. That's it. Anything above that is just old blueprints that never got built. Except, sometimes late at night, the elevator goes there anyway. And now I think something's trying to bring us back. It started with a motion alert, 111. A.M. I was in the security office, half watching the feeds, half scrolling on my phone when the alert popped up. Motion detected. Elevator B. Unscheduled stop. It happens sometimes. Old wiring, a rat tripping a sensor. Usually nothing, but when I clicked over to the camera, my stomach went tight. The doors had opened fully, and the floor display said 3. There's no button for floor 3. There never has been. It's not a closed floor or under construction. It's just not there. I radioed maintenance. No response. Then tried the nurses' station on 2. They hadn't called the elevator. I stared at the live feed. Empty elevator. Open doors. No one visible. But the hallway beyond the elevator wasn't familiar. Wrong lights. Wrong tiles. Like a different hospital altogether. I went to check it out. Had to. Walked across to elevator B and called it down. The button flickered, then came to life. I watched the display -1, 2, then blank. No number. Just a blinking cursor. When the doors opened, it looked normal. Plain stainless steel walls. Fluorescent light buzzing overhead. I stepped in. I don't know why I did that. I should have just shut it down and filed the report. But something about the feed, about that unfamiliar hallway, got under my skin. I hit the button for floor 2. Nothing. I tried again, still nothing. Then the lights flickered, and the floor display lit up. 3. The elevator began to rise. I reached for the emergency stop, but it didn't respond. No buzz, no resistance. Just cold metal and a faint hum. When the doors opened, I knew immediately this wasn't part of the hospital. The hallway was narrow. Too narrow. Walls painted a pale yellow that reminded me of old teeth. The lights overhead were dim and uneven, some buzzing, some off completely, and the smell, like bleach and something sweet underneath. Sticky sweet, rotten. I stepped out. Every footstep echoed like I was walking inside a tunnel. I said, "Hello?" No answer. I looked back. The elevator doors were still open. The panel inside was dead. I kept my foot inside, just in case. Then I heard it. A gurney. Wheel, squeaking, slow, coming from down the hall. I turned my flashlight on and took one step out into the corridor. The hallway turned sharply right about 20 feet ahead. The wheel sound continued, getting louder. I called out again. "Security. You okay down there?" Still no answer. Then I saw a shape pass across the far hallway. White coat. Bare feet. Moving just a little too slow. I raised the flashlight. but it shorted out. Bulb flickered, then died, completely. I turned back toward the elevator doors closed. I ran. Hit the call button. Nothing. Just that blank floor display. Cursor blinking. My radio crackled to life. I grabbed it like a lifeline. Unit 4, this is base. You still in the building? Yes, I said, too fast. Yes, I'm on. I froze. What the hell was I supposed to say? I'm on a floor that doesn't exist? I said, I'm in elevator B, something weird's happening. Doors open to a floor labeled 3. I think I'm, then the radio cut out. Not static. Just stopped, dead air. I stood there for a second, trying not to panic. I'm not a dramatic guy. I don't jump at shadows. But something about that hallway felt wrong in a way I can't explain, like it wasn't built for people, like I was inside a memory, or a place that only pretended to be a hospital. Then the lights flickered, and I saw her, a woman, halfway down the hall. Back to me, hospital gown. Head cocked slightly like she was listening to something I couldn't hear. I stepped toward her, slow. Ma'am, do you need help? She didn't turn, didn't move. I took another step and she jerked her head violently to the side. Not turning to look at me. More like twitching, like something snapping inside. I stopped cold. And then she said without turning around, "You're not supposed to be here." Every light in the hall went dark. Total black. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't see. Then I heard her walking. Not toward me. Past me. Closer to the elevator. I spun around. But I couldn't see anything, only sound. Bare feet on cold tile. Squeak of a gurney behind. Her, dragging something. Then a whisper, so close to my ear I felt the breath. "You're not leaving." I don't know how long I stood there in the dark. My brain was stuck between two instincts, run or freeze. Neither worked. The air felt thick, like the hallway was breathing around me. Every sound was sharper. My own pulse, my own breathing. And somewhere behind me, the soft, wet slap of bare feet moving slowly across tile. The woman's whisper was still in my ear, like it was stuck there. "You're not leaving." I backed up until my shoulder hit the wall. It felt warmer than it should have, almost like something on the other side pressed back. I forced my voice out. "Ma'am, stay where you are." Nothing. No footsteps. No breathing. Just silence thick enough to make my skin crawl. I reached for the flashlight again. Dead. I hit it against my palm, still dead. Then down the hallway. The lights flickered on for just a second, long enough to see something. The woman was now facing me. Too far to make out details. But her silhouette, her arms hung too long. Her neck tilted too far to the side, like something had dislocated her joints and left them wrong. And she smiled. Not friendly. Not human. Too wide. Too stiff. Like she'd forgotten how expressions were supposed to work, and was imitating one. The lights went out again. Total darkness. I didn't wait. I ran, hands out in front of me. Shoulder bouncing off walls, breath burning in my throat. I aimed for where I remembered the elevator being. Every few seconds, the lights flashed just long enough to give me a glimpse. Hallway wrong. Angles wrong. Like the building was stretching itself. In one flash, I saw the woman on the ceiling. Hands and feet pressed flat against the tiles, like a spider. In the next, she was on the floor again. Closer. The gurney squeaked behind her, dragging something wrapped in a sheet. I turned the corner and slammed into the elevator doors. Hit the call button. Come on, come on, come on. The panel stayed dead. Another flash. She was halfway down the hall, still smiling. Still tilted. Another flash. Closer. Desperation cracked something in me. I pried my fingers into the gap between the elevator doors and pulled. I'm not a huge guy, but adrenaline does weird things. The metal bent, screeched. The doors opened just enough for me to wedge in a shoulder and shove myself through. I stumbled into the car and hit every button on the panel. Nothing lit up. No power, no motion. The hall behind me flickered again. She stood right outside. The doors now. Her hands reached for the gap. I grabbed the door and pulled with everything I had. Her fingers gray, stiff. Wrong slid between the metal. I kicked, hard. The joint cracked. She didn't scream, but she smiled wider. That twitchy, broken smile. Then, from somewhere deep below, the elevator hummed. The panel blinked. To the doors jerked violently. Her hand got caught, bones snapped. But she didn't pull away. It was like she didn't feel pain. Or like the pain wasn't happening to her. The doors finally closed. Her hand fell to the floor of the elevator like a dropped glove. Except when it hit the ground. It twitched, like it wanted to crawl. My stomach flipped. I shoved the severed hand out through the gap in the doors before they sealed. The elevator dropped. Fast, too fast. Like something cut the cables and let it fall. I braced myself, waiting for impact. Instead, the elevator slowed. Stopped. And the doors opened onto floor 2. The real one. Bright lights. Clean walls. Nurses staring at me with wide eyes. I stumbled out, collapsed. There was blood on my uniform, my own, from where I'd scraped myself, and other stains I prayed weren't mine. They rushed me into an exam room. Asked questions. Shined lights in my eyes. Took my vitals. I kept saying the same thing. There's a third floor. Someone's up there. Every nurse gave the same confused look. Every doctor repeated the same line. There is no third floor. I demanded they check elevator. B. They humored me. Maintenance inspected it 3 times. Everything read normal. No malfunction. No power surge. No record of the elevator moving at all after midnight. They said I must have had a stress-induced episode. That the building layout probably disoriented me. That maybe I hit my head. Maybe I panicked. But there's one thing they couldn't explain. When maintenance opened the elevator doors from the outside, a bloody handprint was smeared across the inside panel. Too small to be mine. And when they checked the security footage, elevator B's camera glitched from 1:08 a.m. to 1:32 a.m. 24 minutes missing. Exactly the time I was gone. I tried to go back the next night to show them the hallway, the woman, the floor that shouldn't exist, but the elevator wouldn't let me. Every time I stepped inside, the doors opened right back up. Refused to close, like the elevator knew me now, knew I'd seen something I wasn't meant to. I quit 2 weeks later, tried to forget, tried to move on, but forgetting isn't easy when something keeps reminding you. 3 days ago, a package showed up at my apartment. No return address. Inside colon, a hospital gown. Torn, stained with something dried. And in the pocket, a scrunched up patient WRIST name field. Blank date, unknown floor. 3. The salt circle was still fresh when I got there. Perfect ring. 4 feet wide. Just sitting there in the dirt behind the old ranch house, like someone had carefully poured it the night before. The odd part wasn't the salt. It was that nothing had crossed it. No leaves. No twigs, not even dust. And out there, on that wind-blown, dried-up patch of nowhere, that's not natural. I'd only been a sheriff's deputy for 6 months. When I got the call, possible trespasser on private land, abandoned ranch east of Sorrel Creek. I was alone. Small town, skeleton crew after midnight. Most of the calls we got were about loose cattle or some drunk yelling at the wind. This one felt different from the start. The voice that made the call didn't give a name. Didn't even report anything specific. Just said, "It's back at the fence line. You need to come now." Then hung up. The ranch had been empty for over 20 years. Used to belong to the Densmore family. Weird bunch, always kept to themselves. After the matriarch died in '01, the place went to ruin. The town tried to buy it for development twice, but both times the deal fell through. People said the land didn't like being messed with. At the time, I thought that was small town superstition. Now I'm not so sure. I drove up. Just after 1:30 a.m., the house sat like a skeleton in the dirt. No power, no vehicles, no recent tire tracks except my own. I parked by the rusted cattle gate and stepped out. The wind hit me instantly. Dry, sharp, like something brushing against. My ears that wasn't quite air. The fence was still intact, barely. Barbed wire sagged between weather-worn posts. And just beyond it, the pasture stretched out under a pale moon. That's when I saw the light, way out past the fence line, maybe 300 yards away, a faint glow. Low to the ground, like a lantern or a small fire. I radioed it in. Unit 5 responding to Sorrel Creek trespass. Visual on light source, past East Pasture, investigating. Dispatch crackled. Copy that, Unit 5. Proceed with caution. I unlatched the gate, stepped into the field. Immediately I noticed it. Silence, not rural quiet. I'm used to that. This was total silence. No crickets, no breeze, no frogs from the nearby marsh. Just that tight, pressing stillness. And that's when I saw the salt, a perfect white circle in the dirt, maybe 20 feet ahead. I paused. There's no reason salt should hold shape like that out here. Too many elements, wind, animals, time, but it was untouched. Clean. Something about it made my skin tighten. I circled around it. Didn't step over. Didn't want to. Kept walking toward the light. As I got closer, I realized something. The light wasn't on anything. No lantern. No torch. No phone. It was just a floating, soft glow about 2 feet off the ground, the size of a grapefruit, and it didn't flicker. It pulsed, slow and steady, like a heartbeat. I lifted my flashlight and aimed it. Nothing there. The beam passed right through it, but the light didn't vanish. I took another step, and every hair on my arm stood up. A pressure hit me in the chest. Not like fear, like standing too close to a speaker pushing out sub-bass, that low, bone-level hum. Then I heard it. From the trees behind the fence line. Footsteps. Slow, heavy, measured. Coming parallel to me, but not directly toward me. I turned, swept the area with my light. Nothing. The trees were just black shapes. Too far to make out, but I heard the sound again. Closer now, branches shifting, and then a low, wet breath, like someone struggling to breathe through water. I backed up. The light ahead of me dimmed slightly, then pulsed faster. And suddenly I realized it wasn't just pulsing at random. It was responding to me. Step forward. Fast pulse. Step back. Slow. Step forward again. Thump. 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 Like it wanted me to get closer. Then the voice came, from the direction of the trees. Calm and even. You're not from here. Not angry. Not curious. Just knowing. I turned my light toward the trees again. Still nothing. This isn't your place. That pressure in my chest deepened. I took a step back. Then another. The light dimmed further. I turned and started walking back toward the house. Not running. Didn't want to seem like prey. But the voice followed me, not louder. Just closer. You don't know what's buried out here. When I made it back to the salt circle, I stopped. That same pressure, like hitting an invisible wall. Inside the circle, there was something. I crouched down and aimed my flashlight. Inside the ring. Dirt. That single quotes S all it looked like. But the surface wasn't smooth. It had a pattern, like scorch marks. Or veins. They moved slightly when I stared. Then something beneath the surface twitched. Not a snake. Not a bug, something larger. I stood up fast. And from behind me, inches from my ear. Step inside. Just a toe. I turned. No one. The voice was gone, but in the distance, back at the tree line movement, not one person. Several tall silhouettes, hunched slightly. Walking in sync. They moved slowly, not toward me, but around. Circling. Keeping just to the edge of the trees, just past where my flashlight reached. The glowing light behind me faded out completely. I backed up toward the fence, breathing hard now. Then I heard it, a sound I'll never forget. Wood splitting, teeth grinding. Like something chewing through bark. And a voice, layered, low, and cracking. They kept it buried. But the ground remembers. As I crossed the fence line, the air shifted. The wind returned. Frogs croaked from the marsh. Crickets, chirpe, like someone hit play on the natural world again. I looked back once. The circle was gone. No glow. No voice. Just quiet. I drove straight back to the station. Didn't file the full report. Just said I found evidence of trespassing and would return in daylight, but I didn't, because when I drove back the next morning with the sheriff, the ranch was gone. We parked in the same spot I had the night before. Only this time, there was nothing beyond the gate. No house, no trees, no rusted fence. Just an open field, like the ranch had never existed. The sheriff didn't believe me. Why would he? He checked the GPS, looked at county records. According to the database, the Dainsmore property had been sold 12 years ago, demolished, and absorbed into the town's future development zoning. No remaining structures, no known calls, but I'd been there. I'd walked the land, heard the voice, felt the air change. The only proof I had was my body cam blank, 37 minutes of corrupted footage. No video, no audio. Just one file name, #Sorrel_boundary, #double quotes. I didn't report that part. I just kept my mouth shut. Weeks passed. I figured whatever happened that night was over. I tried to write it off as some weird hallucination, stress, fatigue, rural, psychosis. Then I started seeing signs, not in the field, on other calls. Domestic dispute at a trailer out by the ridge. I saw a faint white ring of salt around the base of the property. The homeowner didn't know how it got there. Noise complaint in the trailer park. Found a note taped to a back door. Written in charcoal. Don't speak to them after dark. A livestock kill. 3 goats in a pen. Untouched by coyotes, not a drop of blood. Just a perfectly circular burn mark in the dirt, 10 feet wide. Like something landed there. I didn't say anything, but each time, that pressure in my chest came back. Same as the night at the ranch. Then I got the second call. Private number. 1:02 a.m. I let it go to voicemail. The message was short. A voice I didn't recognize. Male, low. Slow, just said, "It remembers you." Click. The nightmares started after that. Always the same. I'm standing at the fence line again. Beyond it, shapes in the trees. Hunched. Wrong. Moving without sound. And a ring of salt around my feet. Only this time. It's broken, one small gap. Big enough for a foot. I always wake up just as something crosses into the ring. About a month later, we got a call from a rancher north of Sorrel Creek. Said someone had been building things on his land, structures. At night, he'd go to bed, everything normal. Wake up to find stacked stones, half-buried bones, symbols etched in tree bark. We went out there in daylight. What we found stopped. Everyone cold. Dozens of salt rings, some perfect, some broken, some still glowing faintly under the sun. Like they'd just been poured. In the center of one, a human tooth. We ran forensics. Clean. No root. Just the crown. Smooth and polished like it had been handled too many times. The rancher moved away the same week. Didn't sell the land. Didn't pack up. He just left. Said, "It's not mine anymore." Wasn't ever. I tried to forget. Tried to let it go. Until last week, when I got called to a missing persons case. A kid, 13 years old. Disappeared from a summer camp about 20 miles east of the old ranch property. No sign of struggle. No broken windows. No signs of entry. Just one thing left behind. A handprint, burned into the wooden floor of the cabin. Small, too small for an adult. And not burned in from heat. The edges weren't scorched, they were rotted. As if something pressed its hand down and aged the wood beneath it. The kid's name was Mason Dinsmore. Same last name as the ranch family. No one had connected the dots. Except me. That night, I drove out to the edge of town. Same place, same road, same spot where I'd first crossed the gate. Still just an open field. I parked anyway, waited until 1 a.m., and sure enough, as the moon rose I saw it. A faint glow on the horizon. Not a house, not a person, just that floating grapefruit-sized light, pulsing like a heartbeat. I didn't get out, didn't move, but something moved toward me. From the tree line that shouldn't have been there. From land that shouldn't exist anymore. Tall shapes, hunched, moving in sync. They stopped at the edge of the field. Didn't speak. Just watched. And then one of them lifted its hand, long, thin, jointed in too many places, and pointed to the ground just ahead of my cruiser. When I turned on the headlights, I saw the circle. Fresh salt. Perfect. Waiting. He was dead. I know that now. But when we walked into the living room, he looked just like any other man sitting on a couch, calm, hands folded like he'd been waiting for us. Except his wife. She kept whispering behind me, "He's not supposed to be here. He died yesterday." I swear he did. I'm a paramedic. Been doing this 10 years. Seen heart attacks, gunshots, ODs, suicides, everything. You get desensitized. But this broke me in a way no trauma ever had. It was a quiet call. Welfare check. Elderly woman, mid-60s, requested medics to verify vitals for her husband. No panic, no CPR, just, he's cold. I think he stopped breathing again. Again. That word didn't register until later. We rolled up to the house around 3:20 a.m. Suburban Street. Dark windows. One porch light on. The woman answered the door immediately. Didn't even wait for us to knock. Thin, pale, shaky hands. Eyes red like she hadn't slept in days. She didn't say hello. Just stepped aside and said, "He's in the living room." We stepped in. Everything inside was neat, too neat. Not staged. Just frozen. Like no one had moved anything in hours. Maybe days. There was a weird smell. Not rot. Not sickness. Just cold. Like a basement with no circulation. He was sitting on the couch, facing the TV, screen off. Hands in his lap. Eyes open. My partner, Lee, stepped up first. "Sir, we're here to check on you." The man didn't respond. I moved to the side. Got a better look at his face. Grayish skin. Pale lips. Eyes glassy and too wide. He didn't blink. Not once. Lee leaned down. Checked for a carotid pulse. Then backed up slowly. I saw it in his face before he said a word. "He's cold." Rigor set in. This guy's been dead a while. That's when the wife whispered it. Right behind me, like she was talking to herself more than us. "He died yesterday." I called the doctor. But then he came back. Just walked in like nothing happened. We radioed dispatch to notify the coroner. Standard protocol. Lee stepped outside to make the call. I stayed with the woman. She was sitting in a chair now, across from her husband, staring at him. Hands trembling in her lap. "He didn't say anything when he came back," she said. "Just sat there. Just like that." I glanced over at the body again, still not moving. Still staring straight ahead. I cleared my throat. "Ma'am, can I ask why you waited until now to call?" She didn't answer, just started crying. Quiet, restrained sobs, like she didn't want to be heard. Then she whispered something I'll never forget. "Because if he hears me, he might not leave this time." That's when I felt it. The shift. Not in the room. In him. I turned slowly and looked at the body again. Still seated. Still motionless. But his eyes were different. Focused now. Not vacant. Tracking. He was looking at me. Not with confusion. Not with life. With intention. Like something inside was getting better at pretending. I stepped toward him. Not sure what I was going to do. Maybe check his pulse again. Maybe say something stupid like, "Sir, can you hear me?" But I didn't get the chance because he smiled, just barely, just one corner of his mouth pulling upward, and it looked wrong. Stretched. Forced. Like someone trying to imitate a smile from memory. I backed up. The wife stood now too. Her voice was shaky, but firm. "Get out. Both of you, now, ma'am, now, before he stands up again." Lee came back in at that exact moment. I grabbed his arm and said, "We're leaving. Right now." He didn't argue. Didn't ask questions. We left the house, the wife locking the door behind us without another word. I stood by the rig, heart pounding. Lee looked pale. "What the hell just happened?" he asked. I didn't answer, because through the front window, barely visible behind the curtains, he was standing now, looking out at us. Still smiling. Back at the station, I pulled the call record. Guess what? There was no record of a call from that address. No timestamp. No voice log. No dispatch trail. It never happened. We were never sent. The next day, I drove back to that neighborhood. Same street. Same house. Except now there was a for sale sign in the yard. Fresh. Like it had just been planted. I knocked. No answer. I peeked through the window. The living room was empty. Couch gone. No furniture. No signs of life. The house had been vacant for over a year. I checked records. The woman, Elizabeth Hartley, had been found dead inside 3 months earlier. Natural causes. Her husband, Gerald, had died the day before her. 2 deaths. Back to back. I even found the coroner report. We'd been inside that house over a month after they were buried. So who did we talk to? Who called us? Who was sitting on that couch? That would have been enough to break most people. But it didn't stop there. It never stops at just one visit. After that night, I stopped sleeping. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw him, sitting on that couch, smiling like a broken puppet, slowly learning how to mimic a human. I kept telling myself it was stress, burnout, a hallucination from too many double shifts. But deep down, I knew better. Sometimes you can't lie to yourself. Not when the truth starts knocking. The second incident happened 4 days later. It was around 2 a.m. Lee and I were returning from a transport when dispatch paged us. Unresponsive male. Possible cardiac event. Caller is the neighbor. We arrived to find an elderly man on his porch, slumped over in a wooden rocking chair. His neighbor, a middle-aged guy in pajamas, waved desperately from across the lawn. "He hasn't moved in 20 minutes." The man yelled. I tried calling his name. He wouldn't answer. We ran up the steps. I touched his shoulder. Cold. Stiff. No pulse. Lee checked for respiration. Nothing. The body wasn't fresh. Rigor had already started. We pulled out the gear anyway. You always try. But as I leaned in to check the airway, something weird hit me immediately. The smell. Not rot. Not death. Just cold, like walking into a meat locker. We worked the scene. Filed the pronouncement. Talked to the neighbor. All normal. Until we stepped off the porch, and I turned around for one last look. The man in the rocking chair? He was staring at me. Eyes open. Not like they had relaxed after death. Not rolled. Focused. Focused on me. Lee saw it too. I heard him suck in a breath beside me. What the? Was he like that before? No, I whispered. He wasn't. The neighbor froze. What are you looking at? We didn't answer, because the dead man's head tilted, a tiny movement, barely an inch, but unmistakable. Lee grabbed my arm. We're leaving. I didn't argue. We didn't pronounce him a second time. We didn't go back. We just got in the rig and drove. Back at the station, I tried to rationalize it. Maybe the eyelids opened from muscle relaxation. Maybe Rigger shifted his posture, but that tiny movement, that tilt, that wasn't anatomy, that was intention. The third incident destroyed any denial I had left. We got a welfare check request from a nursing home. Staff said one of the residents, 82-year-old man named Walter, had walked out of his room without assistance, even though he couldn't walk without help. I think he's in the lobby, one nurse said. He just wandered down here. We walked in, and there he was. Walter sat perfectly upright in a chair by the window, eyes wide open. That same faint, unnatural smile. I checked his wrist. His skin was colder than the AC could have made it. No pulse. He was dead. Hours. Dead, but sitting, breathing, looking, smiling. The nurse's voice cracked behind us. He died around noon, she whispered. We moved him to the prep room 30 minutes ago. How did he get back out here? No one answered, because there's no answer. We called the coroner. Again. Same guy as last time, Morales. Big guy, no nonsense. He inspected the body, frowned, and said, "Something's wrong with his joints." "What do you mean?" I asked. He lifted Walter's arm. The limb bent too easily, like the stiffness had been reversed. Like someone had taken time to loosen the body back up. Morales muttered, "He shouldn't be this flexible." That's when Walter, dead cold dead, opened his mouth. A low, drawn-out sound came out. Not a breath, not a groan, just air pushing through a throat that had no business making noise. A word formed, crushed, wet, barely audible. "Stay." Everyone backed away. Walter's head lifted, slow, unnatural, like a marionette being tugged upward by strings. His jaw clicked. Then he whispered, "Don't leave." Morales jumped back so fast he hit the wall. We left the nursing home and didn't go back. The fourth and final incident happened at my own home. 3 nights ago. I hadn't told anyone this part. I came home late, midnight, bone-tired. I locked the door, took my boots off, tossed my keys on the table. Then I heard it, a footstep behind me. Slow, deliberate. I turned. A man stood at the end of my hallway, gray skin, wide eyes, wrong smile. I recognized him instantly, the first man. From the couch. Only now, he was standing, moving. Improved. He lifted one hand, jerky, delayed, like he had to think about each inch. Then, in a voice more human than before, he said, "Sir, I'm not real." My stomach dropped. He took one step toward me. "She let me out." He took another. His joints cracked like old floorboards. "Don't run." I ran, locked myself in the bathroom, called 911. Didn't say a thing, just breathed. When officers arrived and forced open the door, the man was gone, but they found something else. Fingerprints, smeared across the hallway walls. Everywhere he had touched. Except they weren't fingerprints. They were smooth, featureless, human-shaped. But wrong, like something trying to learn the shape of a hand. I moved out the next morning. Left everything, haven't been back. But it doesn't matter, because it knows me now. Wherever I go, motel, friend's couch, empty house, I hear it, a slow drag, a soft breath, a whisper under the door, "Let me in." I'm almost real. Ruger never hesitated. Not once. I've seen that dog charge into meth labs, burning trailers, and a freezing river to track a missing kid. But that night, when we pulled up behind the warehouse, he flattened to the seat and whined. Wouldn't move, wouldn't bark, and I knew right then, something was wrong. Not with the dog, with the place. It was supposed to be routine. 142. A .M. Burglary alarm at a shipping warehouse outside town. One of those concrete rectangles at the edge of a trucking yard. Fences, cameras, floodlights. The usual. Me and Ruger had handled stuff like this dozens of times. Normally, I'd pull up, park at the east gate, do a perimeter check, and if needed, send Ruger in to clear the building. But as soon as I turned into the lot, Ruger stood up in the back seat, ears up, eyes fixed on the warehouse. I slowed down, expecting the usual alert posture, tail up, breath steady. Instead, he dropped flat to the floor, pressed his head into the seat like he was trying to disappear. And then he started whining, not loud, not barking, just a soft guttural sound that made my blood go cold. I parked and turned to him, double quotes, "Hey, Ruger, what's going on, bud?" He didn't look at me, wouldn't make eye contact. I opened the rear door. He didn't move, out I said, tapping the command twice, still nothing. This dog, who once jumped through a second-story window on command, was now shaking like a leaf, refusing to set one paw on the ground. I'd never seen him like that. I got out and scanned the perimeter. Warehouse was dark. No lights on. Only one overhead lamp flickering above a side door. Gate was open. Too quiet. Even for the time of night. No wind. No bugs. Like the place had a lid on it. I radioed in. Unit 12 on scene. K9 showing signs of distress. Holding perimeter before entry. Dispatch, copy that. Backup is 20 minutes out. Proceed with caution. I walked the exterior. Every door locked, except that side one, slightly open. I didn't go in. Not yet. Instead, I checked the security panel by the entrance. It was ripped open. Not cut. Not smashed. Ripped. Wires peeled back like someone had claws instead of hands. That's when I heard it. From inside the warehouse, a low dragging sound. Then, a click, like a door being slowly pushed closed. Or opened. I backed up to the cruiser. Tried again with Ruger. He was breathing fast. Eyes locked on the side door. I reached in, clipped his leash, and gave the command again. Exit. Now. Nothing. He licked his lips. Gave me one quick glance, then looked back at the warehouse and let out one low, shaky growl. That was his warning growl, reserved for something he didn't understand. Against every instinct, I went in alone. Tactical flashlight. Sidearm ready. Body tense. Inside smelled like dust and cold metal. But there was something else underneath. Sweet. Not rot. Not blood. More like rotting flowers, like something trying to mask a worse smell. The interior was massive. Rows of shelves. Wood pallets. Metal staircases. I moved slow. No signs of forced entry. Other than that door and the shredded panel. No motion. No sounds. But that smell. It got stronger toward the center. Then my radio popped. Hello. I froze. It wasn't dispatch. Not our frequency. A child's voice, small, confused. I can't find the door. I raised the radio. This is Deputy Owens. Who is this? Static. Then again, same voice. It's too dark. I think I'm lost. Then silence. I turned toward the center aisle. That's when I saw it. A shape moving between the rows. Too low to be a person. Too fast to be crawling. More like sliding. I stepped back, whatever it was. It didn't make noise, didn't disturb anything, but the smell surged. Flowers, meat, decay. I raised my flashlight again. Right. As I did, something brushed past me. Cold, airless. Like walking through the tail end of a shadow. My flashlight flickered. Radio crackled again. Don't let it follow you. Different voice this time. Older. Flat. Then, a long high screech, like microphone feedback. Only sharper filled my ear. I ripped the radio off my shoulder, and then I heard it. Outside, Ruger was barking. Savagely. Not scared anymore. Furious. I ran back out through the side door. He was still in the cruiser, pressed against the window, barking his head off, but not at me. At the warehouse entrance, I turned. Flashlight up. Nothing there, but the door behind me, the one I'd just come out of, swung shut on its own, hard, loud enough to rattle the windows. Got in the cruiser and sat behind the wheel. Hands shaking, Ruger finally settled, panting. Eyes never leaving the building. I turned the engine. Radioed dispatch again. Warehouse clear. Negative contact. Request cancel backup. I don't know why I said it. Maybe because I didn't want anyone else walking into that place. On the way back, Ruger finally climbed onto the seat and pressed his head into my lap. He was still shaking, and when we passed the tree line, heading back into town, he whimpered again, like something had followed us to the edge. But no farther. Later that week, we got a call from warehouse management. Said the side door had been torn off the hinges. No sign of forced entry, but inside, they found small handprints, pressed into the dust on the floor. Child-sized. But no child had been there. They checked the alarm records. The system hadn't glitched. Had been manually disabled. Wire by wire. Not with tools. With fingers. After that night, Ruger changed. He wouldn't sleep near doors anymore. Wouldn't go near his kennel. Even at home, he stayed glued to me. Like something was still out there, watching. At first, I thought it was just lingering fear. Residual nerves from the warehouse. But then he started growling at corners, not barking. Not going full alert. Just sitting at attention, facing a blank wall or hallway, and growling low and steady, like he was warning something, or trying to convince himself not to run. The worst was the garage. 2 nights after the call, I took him out for his usual evening routine. As we passed the garage door, Ruger froze. Ears pinned back, hackles raised. His tail went stiff and dropped. Then he growled. Deep. Visceral. He backed up, pulling the leash taut. Then sat. And wouldn't move. I listened. No sounds. No movement. I opened the garage door, just to show him it was fine. The second it cracked open, Ruger let out a sharp, terrified bark, yanked backward, and tried to bolt. Not toward the yard, toward the house, away from the garage. I went inside. Did a sweep with my service weapon and flashlight. Empty. Nothing but boxes, oil cans, and a cold cement floor, except there were footprints in the dust, small, bare, kid-sized. Leading from the corner of the garage to the wall and stopping there. Like something walked in and then disappeared into the concrete. That same night, I woke up at 3:30 and Ruger was at the foot of the bed, pacing, whining. I sat up and listened. Silence. Then, faint, barely audible, a click, like a light switch, from the hallway. I got up, gun in hand, and opened the door. Lights were off. House was quiet, but Ruger pushed past me, barking hard. He ran into the living room and skidded to a stop in front of the big window facing the backyard. He stood there, muscles tense, barking through the glass. I flipped on the floodlight, and I swear to God, there was a child standing at the tree line, too still, arms hanging at her sides. Face pale. She stared up at the house. Not blinking, didn't run, didn't move, just stared. I turned to grab my phone. And when I looked back, she was gone. No movement. No footsteps. No rustle of branches. Just gone. The next morning, I found a handprint on the outside of the glass, but it wasn't from a child. It was longer, thinner. The fingers didn't look jointed right, like something trying to imitate a child's hand, and getting it just slightly wrong. I took a few days off after that. Ruger wouldn't leave my side. He didn't eat, didn't sleep well, just kept one eye on the doors at all times. I started thinking about that voice on the radio. I can't find the door. And then, don't let it follow you. It wasn't just a child. It wasn't just a shape. It was something pretending, something learning, A week later, I got called in to review another incident. Different officer. Different location. Same pattern. Burglary alarm at an auto parts distributor. K9 deployed. Dog refused to enter the building. Pancaked on the ground. Wouldn't move. The officer went in alone. Reported hearing footsteps on the ceiling. Faint static on the radio. Found handprints in the dust. Same shape. Same size. Same story. It's not isolated. Whatever was in that warehouse. Whatever tried to crawl into my house. It's moving. Looking for something. And the dogs know. That's the worst part. We always trust our K9 South to lead the way. To detect danger. To protect us. But what happens when the dog says, "I'm not going in there," and we go anyway? I don't take Ruger on night shifts anymore. He's not the same. Neither am I. Because I keep thinking about what would have happened if I hadn't listened to him that night. If I'd gone in deeper. If I'd tried to find that child. If I'd let the door close behind me. And sometimes, when I close my eyes, I hear it again. The soft voice over the radio. "You saw me. Now I see you." And I swear, some nights when Ruger is fast asleep, he starts to growl in his dreams. Low, mournful, scared, and always, he's facing the same direction, toward the door. The dispatcher kept talking after we found her body. I was standing right there, flashlight on her face, blood cooling on the floor, and her voice still crackled through the radio like nothing was wrong. "Unit 6, do you copy? Suspect may still be inside. Proceed with caution." But the woman who said that? She'd been dead for at least 20 minutes. It started with a 911 call from a private residence just past county limits. Old farmhouse. Middle of nowhere. Caller didn't give details. Just said, "They're inside. Please, someone send help. Hurry." Line cut out right after. No callback. No name. No second call. Dispatch flagged it code 3, possible home invasion, priority response. Me and Ramos were the closest unit. We hit lights and went. About 10 minutes out, I radioed for an update. And our dispatcher, Jenna, came through. Caller is registered as Emily Vance, 32, no priors. No history of false reports. You'll want to watch your 6 on this one. She sounded tired, but clear. Usual Jenna. Always calm, always a little too composed. I cracked a joke. Something like, "You trying to psych us out before we even get there?" She didn't laugh. Just said, "You'll see." By the time we got on scene, the front door was wide open. Ramos looked at me. "You call that a good sign?" Nope. We drew weapons, flashlights up, cleared the porch. Inside smelled like old wood and something metallic. Not quite blood. Not fresh anyway. House was quiet. Too quiet. Ramos stayed by the door. I moved through the entry, calling out, "Sheriff's Department. Emily, are you here?" No answer. Kitchen, clear. Living room, empty. TV still on. Frozen on a static screen. I moved toward the hallway. That's when I saw her. Jenna. Lying just inside the bathroom. Uniform on. Badge on her belt. Neck slit wide open. Blood everywhere. Eyes open. Mouth slightly parted, like she died mid-sentence. I froze. That couldn't be right. Jenna worked dispatch, downtown. She wasn't even on patrol. And yet, there she was. Dead. Right in front of me. I called out, "Ramos, I need you in here." He ran in, took one look, and stopped cold. Double quotes. What the hell? Then, from the radio on my shoulder, "Unit 6, I'm showing movement on the second floor. Can you confirm?" I didn't touch the mic. Didn't respond. "Use caution," Jenna's voice said. Advise when clear. Ramos looked at me. "She's dead. I know. But she's talking. I know." We both stood there, staring at her body. Her lips were still. No movement, but her voice came again. "Unit 6, status?" This time, it was louder, clearer, like she was standing right behind me. I turned. Nobody there. We cleared the second floor. Nothing. Bedroom, untouched. Closet, empty. Attic access, undisturbed. But in the upstairs bathroom, another radio. Just like ours. Set to our channel, on. And next to it, propped up against the tub like a doll, a mannequin wearing a sheriff's department uniform, badge number scratched off, mouth open, inside the mouth, a Bluetooth earpiece blinking red. Ramos muttered, "Someone's playing games." But I was too busy staring at the mannequin's face, because it didn't look fake. It looked copied, like someone tried to sculpt a face, but had never actually seen one up close. We swept the house a second time. Still nothing. No other bodies. No signs of a struggle, except Jenna's, back downstairs. Her corpse still hadn't moved. I checked her pulse again, knowing damn well there wouldn't be one. Still cold. Still dead. But then, her radio crackled again. "Unit 6, backup's been delayed. You're still alone." A pause, then softly, "I'm sorry." I ripped the mic off her shoulder, threw it down. Didn't matter. My radio, still attached to me, lit up again. "You shouldn't have come." That was the last thing we heard before everything cut. No signal. No GPS. No outside contact. We left the house without another word. Didn't clear it. Didn't call for crime scene. Just got in the cruiser and drove. Halfway back to town, Ramos asked what we were both thinking. That was her, right? Her voice? Yeah, but she's dead. Yeah, neither of us said the other part out loud. If that was Jenna's voice, and she's dead, who's been answering dispatch all week? When we got back to the station, I checked the log. Dispatch records showed Jenna never clocked out. Her station was still marked active. Her headset still in place, still connected. Went in to check for myself. Lights were off. Her chair was empty. But the mic was still warm. I pulled the call log for that night. The system had recorded everything. Every call, every word. I found our unit's entry, time-stamped, labeled as in progress. But there was no caller audio, only Jenna's voice, giving instructions, saying things she never should have known, like what we saw, what we heard, where we were. Before we told her, I played the last line back 3 times. "You shouldn't have come." The voice wavered, slightly on the third word, slurred, like the mouth couldn't quite shape it, like it was losing the trick. I shut it off and left the room. Told no one, because here's the part I haven't said. Jenna died on a call 3 weeks ago. A real one. Traffic stop gone sideways. Backup was late. She bled out on the roadside, clutching the mic. Last words? "Tell them I'm still here." At the time, we thought she meant the location, the scene. But what if she didn't? What if she meant it literally? What if part of her never left? And now, every time I radio in, every time I hear that calm, quiet voice come back through the static, I wonder if it's her or something else. Something that learned her voice. Something that liked the sound of it. Something that's still talking. Because it doesn't want us to realize she's gone. Part 2, I tried not to use the radio after that. Tried to stick to phone contact or face-to-face, whenever possible. But the job doesn't work like that. And she never stopped answering. No matter what unit called in. No matter who hit their mic, Jenna's voice would come through. Even when other dispatchers were on duty. Even when her old desk was empty. Sometimes both voices came through at once. The real dispatcher's voice, live, and hers trailing right behind. Like an echo. Like something listening in and trying to keep up. One night, about 2 weeks after the farmhouse call, a rookie got sent out to a stalled vehicle on the Ridge Road. Foggy night, bad visibility. He called in for assistance around 2:30 a.m., said he found the car. But no driver, said he thought he heard someone calling for help off the road. Down the embankment, dispatch told him to wait, but he didn't single quotes it, he went down anyway. And that's when the weirdest part hit. The audio log. We all heard it the next day, clear as a bell. The rookie says, "I'm gonna head down. I think I see a flashlight." Then silence. 3 minutes later. Dispatch? I don't know what's going on. I think I found someone. But she's in uniform. Can you describe? She's not moving. Looks like her neck's. Oh God. Stay calm, Unit 14. Do not approach. Can you confirm identity? It's Jenna, but that's not possible, right? Then came the part that made my skin crawl. Because Jenna's voice, the one from the farmhouse, the one that shouldn't exist, responded. "I'm right here, Unit 14. What do you mean you found me?" He goes quiet, then, "No, that's not." She just smiled at me. "Stay where you are. Unit 14, help is en route," he whispers. She's standing up. Then the last thing we hear, "That's not Jenna." And the screen cuts off the line. When we arrived, the rookie was gone. His radio left on the side of the road. No sign of a struggle. No blood. Just a uniform shirt, folded neatly on a rock. And underneath it, burned into the moss, a perfect radio symbol. Circle with a dot in the center. Like the button on our shoulder mics. We tried to pull the radio logs, but the audio had corrupted. Only the timestamps remained, and they matched the conversation exactly. Someone, or something, had spoken to him using her voice, and then taken him. After that, things escalated. Dispatchers reported hearing Jenna whispering on the line, even when no one was transmitting. Sometimes, calls came in with her ID number, but no origin. She'd say things like, "Don't trust the voice. It's not me anymore. You're all inside it now." One dispatcher swore the mic clicked on by itself one night. She leaned in, expecting a voice. Instead, the console played back her own last call from 5 minutes earlier, perfectly mimicked. But her voice never stuttered the way the playback did. Her laugh didn't end that sharp. She knew it wasn't a recording. She said it was like something was trying to practice being her. Then came the worst night. 3 officers went missing in the field during a search and rescue op. Fog had rolled in heavy. GPS glitched out. Comms went haywire. We tried to reach them. All we got was Jenna's voice, over and over, sometimes saying things she'd never said before, sometimes repeating things we just said. Like a parrot learning how to hold a conversation. Then, around 4 a.m., we heard it. Found them. Standing still. All 3. Not breathing, but smiling. A pause. Then, "I like this job." His radio was still on. Broadcasting static. And underneath the noise, if you listened real close, you could hear it. Her voice, on loop, saying, "Still here. Still here. Still here." And then came the last call, a private line. Direct to the station, unlisted number. It rang once. I picked it up, and she said, "I didn't mean to stay this long." Her voice was quiet, soft. Almost like the real. Her. Almost like she was waking up from something. I kept talking because it felt safe. Because if I stopped, I think it would have taken someone else instead. I asked her what it was. She didn't answer, just whispered, "Don't let it wear my voice anymore. Then tell them I'm gone." Click. Since that call, the voice hasn't come back. No more mimicry. No more echo. No more static. But that makes it worse somehow. Because now, we don't know where it went, what it became, who it sounds like now.